Hi everyone, welcome to another video in my 2025 challenge where I'm trying to photograph 250 species of birds in Massachusetts this year. Well, I'm back at Plum Island, a place that I have spent a lot of time this year. And of course, I'm hoping to see some good birds here today, but my main purpose is to host this video and to show you the birds that I've seen over the past couple of weeks or so. So we have kind of a good news, bad news situation right now. So the good news is I have quite a few new birds to show you in this video, especially considering that we're getting towards the end of the year and I'm getting close to 250. The bad news is that this is going to be the last video for at least 3 weeks due to some work travel that I have coming up. So I'll talk about that a little bit more later in the video, but I know nobody likes long introductions. So let's go ahead and get into the first sighting that I have for this video. Hi everyone, back at Plum Island, back on the Hellcat Dike. I've just come over here after work. It's late afternoon and I'm chasing a bird which is an American Avocet that's been reported. And it's actually been here for quite a few hours today. I've been watching the reports, so I'm reasonably confident, optimistic that it's still here. But for once I thought I'd do a little intro before I find the bird. I'm about to find out. I'm walking down this dike here towards the end of where the people can go and it becomes restricted. And as soon as I get to that point, I'll be able to scan a bill forward pool and see if it's there. Avocets are white, and I can see a lot of white birds out there, which are herons. So I'm going to have to kind of just pick through that a little bit. So in just a few minutes, I will know whether we have another one for the year list. I'll come back and let you know. Okay, we're in luck. The Avocet is still there. It's pretty far away right now, but I know it's an actively feeding bird and moving around, so I'm gonna hang around here for half an hour or so and see if it comes a little closer and I can get some better footage. But the lighting from the dike looking back towards Bill Forward Pool right now in the afternoon is good, so at least I'm not dealing with backlit conditions right now from here. So I'll roll the best footage that I'm able to get, but that's another one for the year list and another shorebird delivered by Plum Island. So there it is, feeding in the very shallow water of Bill Forward Pool, and still pretty far away at this point. You can see that it's quite a large shorebird, almost as large as the black ducks feeding nearby. Avocets are known for their active feeding behavior, and this one certainly didn't disappoint in that regard. It was feeding so actively that it was actually running around in the shallow water, and it was pretty entertaining to watch. At one point it actually headbutted one of the ducks feeding nearby. Avocets feed by sweeping their long bill back and forth along the bottom, and that probably explains why their bill is slightly turned up at the end. After a while, the Avocet worked its way closer to me, and I was able to get some footage of it walking along this little sandbar. You can see how long the legs are on this bird. Avocets are related to stilts, and you can see the resemblance in the elegant and slender overall shape of these birds. I'm very happy to now have both American Avocet and black-necked stilt on the year list, since both are uncommon in Massachusetts. American Avocet is shorebird species number 30 for the year list, a small milestone that I've been aiming for. I mentioned during the summer that getting a lot of shorebirds during the fall would be critical to reaching 250, and I would say that I'm now in pretty good shape in that regard. Okay, that American Avocet was really great to see. Very happy about that one. So the next new bird I have to show you is another shorebird species from here at Plum Island, this one from the Maine salt pans. Whimbrels are large shorebirds with down-curved bills and stripes on their head, and they're always exciting birds to see. They are fairly common fall migrants in Massachusetts, but they can be tricky to find because they tend to move around a lot. So you'll see a lot of reports of Whimbrels, but those sightings tend to go stale very quickly. In this case, I was on Plum Island when these birds were reported, and I headed over immediately to get to the main salt pans, and when I got there I was able to film them for just a few minutes before they flew into the long grass behind the pans. It became almost impossible to see. Whimbrel is shorebird species number 31 for the year list. Okay, and the next new bird is another one that I saw on the same day as the Whimbrel, and for that one I did film myself from the location of the bird, so it's kind of like a little mini video within a video, so let's jump into that. Hi everyone, I've come to a place called Sunny Meadow Farm in Chelmsford, Massachusetts in search of a Dickcissel that's been reported here just over the past couple of days. So today I've already seen one new bird for the list. That was the Whimbrel that I saw at Plum Island. I think I will have likely just shown you that one in this video. So after seeing that, I didn't see much else at Plum Island, so I decided to drive out here about an hour west and look for this Dickcissel. I've never been to this location here. It's quite nice. It's just a small working farm. I think there's a community garden area and there's some fields that are being used and a lot of fallow fields with a lot of weeds, and apparently that is where the Dickcissel has been hanging out, next to a red tool shed, and I've located the bright red tool shed, so I know I'm in the right area. So let's see if we can find a Dickcissel. There were a half dozen or so other birders also looking for the Dickcissel, some of whom had been looking for a while before I showed up. There was definitely a needle in a haystack feeling about this one for a while, since there were many other fields where the Dickcissel could have moved to. But then, after about half an hour, we found it, hunkered down in this hedgerow with some house sparrows. After a few minutes, it flew out into the field and perched up nicely on a tall weed. It remained on this perch for a good 5 or 10 minutes, giving everyone a good photo op, or at least good binocular views for those without cameras. Dickcissels are common birds found in the fields and prairies in the middle of the U.S., but they're not found regularly in New England, as you can see from this range map. They do tend to wander around a lot in the fall, so they are what might be called regular vagrants in Massachusetts. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the breeding males with the black V on the chest, as they lose that plumage at the end of the summer. Still, Dickcissels are handsome birds, especially individuals with plenty of yellow like this one. I think the photos came out even better than the video, as the heat haze is less noticeable and I was able to crop in farther. I like the contrast between the smooth green background and the green vegetation of the perch. Okay, so success here with the Dickcissel. And at this point in the year, it's getting hard to get 2 birds in one day, so I'm pretty happy. So after seeing that Dickcissel a couple of weeks ago, another Dickcissel showed up right at Horn Pond, as they often do in September. I really struggled to find that bird, however, and even after a second Dickcissel showed up at the community gardens at Horn Pond, I still wasn't seeing them. So I was really glad that I did go and get the one at Sunny Meadow Farm. But finally, just a couple of days ago, I did get a sighting of one of the Dickcissels at Horn Pond. So this bird was on the ground and in some pretty heavy shadow, so the video isn't as good. Seems like this has been a good fall for Dickcissels in Massachusetts. I think I'm seeing a lot more reports than I normally do. Okay, the next sighting is kind of a funny one, and it goes to show that you never know what you're going to find when you go out birding. Hi everyone, so I'm at Plum Island working my way down towards Hellcat area. I am in search of a prothonotary warbler that's been seen there over the past couple of days, and it has been seen there today. I'm pretty excited about this one because it would be a lifer for me, and I know this bird has been hanging out here for a couple of days. It's actually been kind of frustrating because I've been very busy with work and haven't had any chance to bird for a while now. And so it's great to be back out, and I'm just going to put my time in on the boardwalk and see if I can locate this bird. It won't be easy because there's a lot of leaves left on the trees and all that, but for a lifer, we got to give it a shot. So let's see if we find it. When I got to the location along the Hellcat boardwalk where the prothonotary warbler was being seen, there were a few other birders also looking for it, one of whom was a fellow horn pond regular. And they told me that the bird tended to appear very briefly every once in a while with fairly long gaps in between. So I settled in to wait. After a while, we noticed that a group of birders a little farther down the boardwalk seemed to be very interested in something that they were seeing off to the side in the thick brush. So we wandered down there, and it turns out that a nightjar of some sort was perched on a branch fairly close to the boardwalk. After a while, with some group effort, it was determined that this was a whippoorwill. This was a really lucky sighting, as it's very difficult to see and photograph whippoorwills, especially during the daytime, because they only start flying around when it's completely dark out. And of course, during the day, they're perched on branches and they're very well camouflaged. So this is a bird I've never photographed before, so that was kind of nice, a new photo lifer for me. And of course, it's also a new one for the year list, and one I was definitely not expecting to get, especially given that I showed up here just to find the prothonotary warbler. So as for the prothonotary warbler, I did finally end up getting a brief glimpse of it in a thick tangle, but I wasn't able to get a photograph. So that really feels like a miss. I have to say, overall, if I had to choose between getting a photo of the whippoorwill and getting a photo of the prothonotary, I probably would choose the whippoorwill because they are just so difficult to photograph. So I'm going to call that overall a win. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I am going to be traveling for work for about 2 weeks starting this weekend. I'm going to be going to France, and longtime viewers of the channel may remember that I did something like that last year, so it's for the same reason this year. I work for a large international company, and there's a yearly conference in France that they have in October. So while I'm there, I will hope to film a couple of videos like I did last year. I hope that works out, but I'm not going to have the computer that I use to do the editing while I'm in France. I'm not going to be able to do any editing of the videos until I get back. So it's going to be at least 3 weeks before I'm going to be able to put out another video. So in terms of the birding today at Plum Island, it's been a little bit quiet, nothing new for the year, and there's a summer tanager that's been reported that I waited around for a while and never ended up seeing, but I do have that already on the list this year. Did see the American Avocet still in Bill Forward Pool. It's been around now for a couple of weeks, and just about everybody in Massachusetts has gotten to see it by now, I think. And so I've got a little more footage of that. I'll just show a real brief clip here since we've already seen that one at the start of the video. So at the end of the last video, I mentioned that there was still one common bird in the state of Massachusetts that I did not have photographed for the year list. And I invited viewers to guess in the comments what that bird was. And I knew that was going to be fairly difficult. And so a lot of people did make guesses. A lot of people were guessing either birds that were already on the list or birds that I don't consider to be common in Massachusetts. But then finally, after a couple of days, viewer Nora K. Murphy guessed Cooper's hawk. And that is the right answer. That's the answer I was looking for, at least. So Cooper's hawks, you know, are common in Massachusetts, and I've had numerous sightings over the year. A lot of those are just quick flyovers where you see it flying by, but there's just no chance to get the camera up. A couple of them were very distant looks where I did get a very distant photo. There was one time when I was stalking a Cooper's hawk through the woods because I could hear it calling, and I snuck up on it, and I thought, this is it, I'm going to get the shot. And then the bird just moved into this shaft of bright sunlight. So I have this photo that I'll show where the background is sort of, you know, perfectly exposed, and the bird is just like bright white and overexposed. So that's been kind of the story of Cooper's hawk this year. Until about a week or so ago, when I did have one at the community gardens at Horn Pond that was soaring fairly low overhead, and I was able to fire off some flight shots, and actually really happy with the way these came out. Really neat looking bird, the way the streaking on the breast and the streaking on the wings all kind of blend together. So very happy with those flight shots of Cooper's hawk, and then happy to get that one on the list. So no more really common birds that are missing for the year. Everything else is at least somewhat unusual and somewhat uncommon. So that same day at the community garden was just a nice day with a lot of raptors moving through, and I got some other flight shots I just like to show. So I think the one I was most happy to get was this adult broad-winged hawk. So I've showed a couple of immature broad-winged hawks this year to get on the year list, but this is an adult. And it's very distinctive, especially with those really thick bands on the tail. They can be difficult to separate from red-shouldered hawks when they're juveniles, but when they're adults, they're completely different. So I was happy to get to that one. And speaking of red-shouldered hawks, there was, I think, 2 of them at least that flew over, maybe even 3, and I got a bunch of flight shots, including this one here, which is an adult red-shouldered hawk. So as it seems usually the case with raptors, you see more immatures than adults, at least that's what I find. And so really cool to see this adult red-shouldered hawk overhead at Horn Pond. Okay, that's a wrap for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back in a few weeks with another video.